Just thought, as our studio experiences of David Starkey, mine was very memorable for that reason.
Let's not forget as well, the reason that he became, it's been a slow descent with him, the reason he really became off limits across virtually every other broadcaster is he used the phrase in an interview, the damn blacks. This is a guy, that's what we're talking about here. And GB News has no problem inviting him on, despite what we heard him say on their own station just there. But they did have a problem when Guito Harry decided to take the knee, memorably on air, former advisor to Boris Johnson, take the knee on air, and that was a step too far. So what happened to free speech?
They said it breached their standards.
Yes.
Now that's such an interesting question, because either you are the bastion of free speech and presumably free action, and you allow whatever your presenters or your commentators to do and to reap, the sort of public feedback from it, or else you suddenly decide that you have standards which can be breached by somebody getting up from their seat and bending down.
So here's the sort of planting the flag in the ground question. Have we reached a turning point? A station that hates cancel culture cancelled Guito Harry a few months ago. A station that hates cancel culture has just cancelled Lawrence Fox. Do we think that these kind of number of degrees that they can go to the right, or how far they can be provocative, has been reached? And they're going to say, we've got to wind it back.
I quote the FT's Robert Shrimsley here, who says it's an outrage factory. And I think that's such a good description, because you manufacture, and I think it's important to realise that half of this stuff, it's not accidental, it's manufactured outrage. You gear up, and occasionally goes a little bit off course. So you pipe down for a week or two, and then it will start to ratchet up again and again, because outrage, as we know, is how you monetise.
And even slightly more disturbingly than that, right, is that, yes, it's an outrage factory, outrage machine, but in a sense, and I wouldn't include what happened last night about this because that was completely outrageous, but in a sense as well, then we end up in the kind of American cycle, where actually, essentially you have a right-wing outrage machine, and to some extent, this kind of liberal left will then sort of feed off it and talk about it, and it all becomes all of our political conversation. To some extent, this whole show,
we should talk about that, because we had a discussion editorially about whether we are, I guess, oxygenating something, or whether, you get over yourself. You go, well, look, people are going to talk about this anyway. People are going to watch it anyway. Everyone's sharing the clip. All the broadsheets, as well as the tabloids, are talking about Lawrence Fox this morning. So, are we making things worse by going into a discussion about it, or do we just say, what?
I think the central question we are raising is that there has been an established view of what the broadcast ecosystem should look like in the UK, with Ofcom acting as the referee of how it works. And we have now got a player that has changed our perceptions of how far you can go. And do we accept that that's okay? And I think that is a very fair question to ask, because I think that the GB News, very successful in a lot of ways, some very high production standards, some funny stuff as well.
Yeah, they're entertaining sometimes. You can see why they're getting an audience.
But also pushing the envelope to the absolute limit of what you would consider to be impartial broadcasting.
Yeah, and I would say one thing, which is that the BBC and ITV and Channel 4 do not want to be looked into by Ofcom. That is not seen as a badge of honour particularly. They want to toe the line. I think GB News probably does enjoy it. It does enjoy the attention. Yeah, they don't want to pay the fines.
Tweaking the tail.
Yeah.
Being dangerous, going out there.
Yeah, I think so. So actually, if Ofcom's paying you attention, then you're rattling. As I said at the beginning, slightly tongue-in-cheek, they won't like this one, will they? There's a sense to which their viewers are delighted when the regulator gets cross.
And look, I would say, that, like we said, I think some of the stuff they're doing can be entertaining. Some of the stuff they're doing, some of the shows that they're doing, they're looking at news in a different way. That's to be applauded. What is not to be applauded, though, is the hypocrisy, which is that they are constantly attacking other broadcasters, particularly the BBC, for their lack of impartiality, for not truly representing people, for not representing ordinary people. Hang on a minute, right? There's only one station which is, sometimes knowingly, I think, spreading misinformation.
The Newsagents. This is a Global Player original podcast.